listeners and spectators, so let's groove with the smooth operator. Just sound so smooth. Just sound so smooth.
This is Turn That Laws, Turn That War, your man of the hour, the one with the power, he who is too sweet to be sour, your warrior lawyer, the 5-star general in the war for truth, justice, and equality, Stephen G. James. This is he and I am him, your main made man with the tilted brown brim, normally speaking. And I got my main man, Joe. So
Joe Swift in the building.
come on over, Joe, and say hello to the people. Let them know we're going to just talk a little bit about the updates on Tekashi69.
What's going on, everybody?
This is Joe doing what he does. Coming at you live from NYC, the place to be for you and for me. So try to get over here as soon as you can. We're going to chop it up real quick.
I'll talk more in detail about the Tekashi69 situation.
Yes, sir. So on the check-in, we have Hassan Aziz, Peter Gray, Angie Robinson. How are you? Sarah Spring is watching us. Hotep, Abaragandi. How are you guys? What's happening? What's up? What's good? What's crack-a-lackin' and your mackin'? And hello, good evening. Joe, so you had some interesting points and questions that you were bringing up recently.
Yeah, one of my questions were from a business standpoint and record label.
Yes.
Don't they already know like how bad this is? Why they're adding fuel to the fire by like promoting the type of lifestyle? Like they knew it was going to lead to this. So much incidents happening.
Be more specific. You mean they knew that if Tekashi69
with all this gang stuff, they
was
knew
going around promoting that gang image and dropping gang signs and promoting things that related to the gang, that he was not going to, it wasn't going to end well.
Yeah, it was going to end bad. Somewhere down the line.
Right. I think so, but I think that many of the record labels were more, and record executives particularly, were more interested in sales. They were more interested in what they could do in terms of marketing him and getting, making more money than the end result of what this would lead to for him, which of course, as we know now, is federal prison at this point.
Yeah, I figured that.
And looking at a life sentence potentially if found guilty on all of the top charges, or turning rat, turning snitch, and sending his buddies down the river for that lifetime bid in the feds. So I don't think the record labels were really concerned about this part of it. They were more concerned about the earlier 18 months of money and fame and, more money being generated through his antics, through his behavior.
Basically how much money they can get out of him.
Or how much, because see, don't forget, that sort of behavior was very provocative. It was very interesting. He captured the imaginations of a lot of the young people. They were out there following him, buying his music. He had a lot of hits on SoundScan, a lot of hits on WorldStar, a lot of YouTube followers. And that's what this game is all about right now, those numbers.
Correct.
And he was definitely hitting up those numbers. So as a result of that, that's what was important. Making those numbers, clocking those dollars, and getting records sold, getting videos played, etc. It really wasn't about what he was going to suffer and what consequences he was going to have to pay.
Okay.
So that was the saddest part.
From a legal standpoint, you mentioned in a previous video that when the feds come after you, they already...
That's a good point. I was telling Bro Joe, LL Cool Joe, basically we were talking about this matter, and he was saying, and I agree, by the time the feds come after you, unlike the state authorities or local police, when they get a complaint, they usually act on the complaint first and then go about the business of confirming or not whether there was some legitimacy to it, whether they can prove it or whatever. However, the feds tend to act exactly the opposite. What do? They tend to do their investigation. They'll get a complaint. They'll take the time to investigate the complaint. They'll even investigate the person making the complaint. You know, they'll investigate the complainant and get all their ducks in a row, get all their facts straight. And then if they find that there is something substantial, they'll even go as far as to convene a private secret grand jury and get an indictment. That's what happened to Tekashi. By the time those guys were arrested, they had already been indicted. A grand jury had already heard the evidence against them and decided that there was enough evidence to indict. And they simply were the Johnny-come-lately to the party. They were later informed by the feds, oh, you've been indicted. So come on to the party, and we're going to let you know, catch up to the rest of us where we're at on your case against you.
So what we heard on the news, they already been doing all their homework, the feds, months and years before.
Right, years before, literally. They apparently have been watching the group, not necessarily Tekashi himself, but the group as a whole, since 2013. For the past almost 6 years. We're at the end of 2013. We're almost...
2018 with them.
I mean, we're at the end of 2018, almost moving into 2019. And here they come. They indicted him, 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. At the end, almost the middle of November 2018.
And the mainstream media just heard about him maybe a year and a half ago.
Right. Long before any of us heard the name Tekashi69, saw this character or this kid, Hernandez, they were looking at him. The feds were looking at him long before any of us even knew he existed. And they continue to look at him despite the music, the fame, the fortune. Yeah. They were continuing their investigation. Like I said, usually they'll do their behind-the-scenes work, and while you're living your life, doing what you're doing, they're building a case. And this is a classic example of how they operate. And in this case, you have ATF, potentially DEA, Homeland Security, because he was an international traveler, and he left the country many times. So I'm sure throughout the time we've known about him. So I'm sure Homeland Security was watching him on each of his trips abroad.
Gotcha.
Okay, and probably shadowing him while he was in those foreign countries. You had NYPD, because some of these crimes were even local crimes, like the shootout at Barclays, which is included in the indictment, in the federal indictment. Some robbery that occurred sometime in the summertime, which was also included in the indictment, in the federal indictment. These are all, they can be prosecuted by the local police as well. And then you have a situation where he had pled guilty to sexual assault on a minor very recently, and he received probation for that. And shortly thereafter, this case arose. And you know what can happen?
What's that?
The probation department and the judge on that case where he is on probation for that sexual assault on a minor charge, that 13-year-old girl in that video that was all over Facebook and other social media not long ago, they can resentence him to jail because the facts and the circumstances are already in. He already pled guilty, which is the same thing as being convicted after a trial. So you have a guilty person, so to speak, because he pled guilty. He got a sentence of probation, but then that probation has requirements. And one of them is that you don't have any recontact with the police, let alone an indictment, let alone an arrest by the feds where you're now in custody facing life in prison. So he's already in violation of his probation. I can tell you that right off top.
Opens up the floodgates even more for more.
It gives more power to the authorities. It gives more power to that judge before whom he took that probationary plea, because now all he has to do is go in front of that judge, and the judge doesn't have to determine if he's guilty or not. Just find him in violation of probation, which is very, very tenuous, and can sentence him, resentence him to prison just based on that alone.
It also gives him clout, street clout.
Credibility?
Credibility, yeah.
Well, to a degree, but don't forget, this is the same person who was going around, making enemies all over the place. True. I mean, from California to right here in New York.
Many people.
A lot of people didn't like him. He used to, diss a lot of people in the industry. He fired his whole team 2 days before he got nabbed, and they were nabbed too, by the way. Shoddy and all those guys were arrested. His management and all those guys. Before they fired him, they were his Before he fired him, they were his management. Well, they all got arrested. So the point is that he has made a lot of enemies. So I don't know that this is necessarily if the clout will outweigh the problems that he's created for himself. This might be the classic example of a young man who's very foolish, whose riches may have actually come in between him and his money. You know, there's a saying in the Bible that says a fool and his money soon be parted.
Well, Thomas is back on the phone, and Miss Robinson, she'll be here tomorrow.
Fine. Okay, I'm on live on the recording, so I'll call Thomas back. So, you know, a fool and his money soon are parted. And this may be a classic example of that.
It's amazing to see this in 2018.
2018. I mean, come on. We've had a lot of examples of people who have toyed with this and suffered because of it. You know, you had Snoop Dogg back in the 80s, you know, was running around talking about he was a Crip and a this and a that. And eventually somebody got killed and he was on trial for his life. And I think, you know, he won that trial, but it changed him because he realized just how serious that game can be. You know, he was just coming into the rap game, getting a name for himself, getting, you know, some real superstar billing when this all happened to him. But it was all because it was all gang-related stuff. And then, of course, you know, we've had other people, Tekashi's man, who, you know, Bobby Shmurda, you know, just caught a 7-year bid. Same thing. And he was very close to Tekashi69. So he was able to, Tekashi, that is, was able to see right up front and personal what happens when you play that type of game. And he still continued. Fat Joe pulled him aside at a title party.
Yeah, I seen the video.
9 months ago and said, yo, dude, I'm not telling you this might happen. I'm not telling you this can happen. I'm telling you this will happen if you stay on the road that you're on. The feds are watching.
And he's a man that knows.
He's a man that knows. He did Fed time because the Fed were watching him. And they watched him until they lowered the boom. A number of years ago, when they lowered the boom, he had no wins. He had to go and take that time. And he was trying to tell Tekashi that same exact thing. And, you know, Tekashi didn't want to listen to him. This was 9 months ago. Then he has Cardi B, you know, the Bronx rapper.
Yeah.
She came up, and when she got on, she was talking that, you know, I'm a gang member stuff, and I'm a this, I'm a that. But then as her career started really taking off, I guess somebody said to her,
someone pulled it to the side
and said, yo, girl, you better straighten up or, you know, you're going to have to ship out because you're going to just ruin all your chances if you keep that angle going. And she's since, you know, piped that down big time. And her career has kind of gotten on the straight and narrow. Now, I'm not saying she's the most talented person, but certainly she's using what she has to improve her life and to go on with her, you know, career. But she could have gone this route too. And he had a chance to see all of that. This is contemporaneous to his rise.
True. A lot of young people dedicate their life to the streets.
Despite the opportunities that they may get.
They give up everything. They give up riches. The thing that they're fighting for.
The thing they claim they want to get out the streets to obtain, they want the opportunity to obtain and to attain so they don't have to be in the streets living, you know, trife, as they say. And once that opportunity comes, you drag the streets with you. You drag that whole lifestyle with you. This is the only logical result.
Yeah, it's not a lifestyle to be a part of.
It's not something to be emulated.
You have the opportunity to get away from that. I mean,
right.
It's like someone giving you the winning lotto numbers, and you say, "Nah, I don't want it."
Right, or you take it and then take the money out to a bonfire and burn it.
Exactly.
And go back to being broke and having to, you know, do whatever to get on with your paperwork. It's the same thing. I mean, you know, very few people get these opportunities, and you really hate to see, just as a human being and a person of color in this world, someone who blows it or toys with it so much, despite all of the warnings, despite all of the advice, despite all of the examples that are around, they continue on that path to destruction.
He was told over and over by some of the greats, and even in the same field that he's in, not his parents, not the police, but actual rappers.
And people who went through it.
Yeah.
People who went through it. People who said, this is what happened to me because I was out there wilding and doing foolishness like you are.
Yeah.
You know, Fat Joe told him. I mean, you couldn't get clearer than that, more authentic than that,
Correct.
than somebody who actually was doing foolishness and got their head in the chopper. So here we are, good people. You know, we're going to watch this case very carefully and very closely. We will bring you any and all information as we get it. And just keep you posted. And if any of you get information, certainly feel free to, let us know what your views are and what you think, because we appreciate all of you. We appreciate what you do. We have the smartest listening audience in the world. We're heard in over 78 countries around the world. We are translated in 17 languages. South America, North America, Central America, the Caribbean, China, Russia, the continent of Africa, and we have people on the check-in from all over the place. So, we definitely want to keep our listening audience informed. We definitely appreciate our people, because this is the smartest, most educated listening audience of live internet broadcasts in the world, and we respect our folks. So as you good people get more information about Tekashi69 or related type of cases, please, let your brother know what's what. We are all one big family. Without me, without you, there is no me, and without we, there is no show. So we definitely need you.
Let everybody know where they can find you, your website.
You can definitely find us at stephangjames.com. We're going to eventually have a dedicated site to the Hour of Power. We are going on to continue in Facebook, but we're going to add more platforms to the show, because we're growing by leaps and bounds. And, more and more people want to listen, not just our Facebook family, but the world. So, we're trying now to bring the show to YouTube, to iTunes, to Spotify, and other platforms, so that we can serve you better and get more people this knowledge and feed them this information. So we appreciate our listeners and those who have been with us from the very beginning. You guys haven't seen LL Cool Joe in a while, but he's here with us tonight. On a Tuesday night, I had to do like an emergency show just to get Joe in it. This is an emergency show, Joe, my bro. But I'm willing to do it if I can get Joe in the mix. So here we are, breaking it down. But we will continue to follow the Tekashi69 situation and keep our family posted. And again, fam, if you hear things, don't hide it behind a bushel basket, as it says in the Bible, but let it out and let us know about it, and we will definitely bring it to the rest of the family. All praise is due to God. And we definitely want to say thank you for those who tuned in for our emergency show. Without you, there's no me. Without we, there's no Hour of Power. All praises due to God. Thank you for listening, family. May God continue to watch over you. Peace and blessings. Till we meet up again this Saturday at 12 noon. Okay? Same bad time, same bad channel. Your Hour of Power with your main made man. Attorney at war, attorney at law. Your warrior lawyer. Stephen G. James, the 5-star general in the war for truth, justice, and equality. Ain't going nowhere. This is he and I am him. Your man with the silky, smooth activity. And sometimes I wear that tilted brown brim. Stephen G. I'm out. Peace.